Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the James E. Wamesy Show. I'm your host, James E. Wamesy, and today I finally got a notification that I was added to the Hershey Comic Con website. So if you go to the HersheyComicCon.com, whatever it's called, and you just type it in, you'll see me listed amongst the smaller tier guests, like amongst the vendors and stuff, which is a good place to begin. But whatever, it was pretty cool to see my name actually on the website. I had uh, I had my doubts that my money went through. Like I said it months ago, and for the longest time the website wasn't updated until last week when Jim Steranko was added to it, as well as Bart Sears, who used to do Brutes and Babes. You might remember him from that from Wizard Magazine. I've always actually admired him, or like despite his over exaggerated muscles, I think he's pretty awesome. But yeah, there we go. That's pretty cool, huh? So today I'm going to look at books by the makers about the process. So if you guys are ready, here we go. Here we have the first book we have is by Gary Gianni. Now he was, I believe, the third artist that took over the Prince Valiant strip. Now these books are a little bigger, so I'm going to set this down and flip through. Sorry, guys. I tried to do my screen sharing again, and it definitely didn't work out. So I don't know. I've been losing a lot of drawing time, and I'm falling behind on working on my book. So I don't know if maybe I'll make shorter videos or something, but something's got to give. But yeah, let me just see here. Okay, I see an introduction by Mike Mignola. Then here is John Colin Murphy's version of the Prince Valiant strip. This is from the 50s, I believe. I know from the 80s. I'm sorry, my eyes like made a mistake there. Okay, well this one is unmistakably a Gary Gianni page. Check this out. That's pretty cool. That is from let's see. That was actually Batman Black and White. Now let me go forward a little bit more here. Okay, here we have some process work. This is the pencil stage versus the ink stage. You can see that he probably does a lot of the thinking, like at the inking stage, but he also eliminates a lot of the problems he's going to have when he's at the penciling stage. Here are some more pencils. And let's move on to the next book. All right, the next one is by Al Bohl, Bohl, and this is the Guide to Cartooning. I recommend this book. I saw it, I think it either in a video or maybe on somebody's blog. But or, I don't know what it was. It was probably archive.org. I saw the original book, and I thought that really wanted that in my collection. Now let's see. Here are some classic illustrations. Come a little closer here. Let me read the back of the book to you here. This is the book for anyone who wants to be a successful cartoonist. Easy to follow text and hundreds of illustrations teach the reader about the history of cartooning, greeting cards, humor writing, caricature comic strips, basic drawing skills, book and magazine illustration, editorial and political cartoons, animation, and comic books. The author also gives tips on how to find a job in the various cartooning markets. An appendix of resources provides a list of recommended reading, instructional videos, helpful organizations and schools. Well, I would add this to your collection. I believe it was pretty cheap. Yeah, it was a former library book. You might be able to see it on the binding here. Well, let me turn to a random other page here. Let's see. Here seems to be a character design or layout. I think for animation. Now we saw that page before. I flipped to the same page. All right, here's the standard 8 heads tall body like a layout that you find in pretty much every art book. But add that to your collection if you're into that kind of thing. Now this one is more of a career overview. Now this is my guy. This is Jamie Hewlett. This is another one of those Taschen books. These are the bargain cheap bastard priced ones. Oh, here we go. There's a nice layout for a Wired magazine cover. Here's some more images on the other side. Hopefully my hand's not covering too much information. I believe these are either storyboards or stills from a music video. But here is a Gorillaz page here. I'll check out the back page, by the way. How cool is that? I really, really love this guy's stuff. Something about it really appeals to me. All right, one more flip through here. Okay, this is a little bit different for him. This is a background scene. Can you see that there really well? It's pretty cool. Once again, I recommend looking for a used copy if you're cheap like me, or if you're a collector. Find a nice source. Believe I got this at Barnes and Noble off the shelf, so that it's been a little while. All right, now this is a little different. This one I threw in there because I like the Kirby and Ditko. This is actually Monsters Unleashed. This is some of their pre superhero stuff at Marvel. So you still get some of the cool designs. Here's let me see. I believe this is Kirby. Well, there's only one Kirby. And here's another page. It's very distinct Kirby feel there. And it doesn't come with all the baggage of all the Marvel superhero stuff. I really like the monster stuff. I missed out. They did a collection of the monster art, in giant size, in the pencil form, I believe, or maybe it was pencil and ink. But I really missed out. I wish I had that. All right, no, I'm sorry. I actually misspoke on the title. It was Monster Masterworks. You probably caught that if you were watching the video closely there. You might be like me. I usually draw while I have videos on, so. All right, then we go back to my old standby, which is Vanguard sketchbooks. Now this is John Romita. As you can see, I am a big fan, despite what I said yesterday about Ditko being the only Spider-Man artist that I really want to see. I mean, he's really, really talented. Look at these pages, and you get a nice interview along with the beautiful artwork. Let's see. Here's some more awesome layouts and character designs. Yeah, check out the Vanguard sketchbooks. They're fairly affordable. There's some that are more expensive than others, but I really love having them in my collection. Just for the interviews alone and the added bonus of those sketchbooks is really cool. And speaking of sketchbooks, here is the Love and Rockets sketchbook. Now, I'm not a huge like Hernandez brothers guy. I think they're a little pretentious and a little bit in Gary Groth's pocket. They're like, in my opinion, I said this on Facebook recently. Like Gary Groth is like he's like the what's that guy's name? There's like a wrestling guy who's like uh, not Wade Keller, Dave something, but yeah, he's like always giving like false opinions, very opinionated, and he's really pro Young Bucks. And these guys, to me, are the Young Bucks, which means they still have talent, but they really just take that guy's side every time, and I don't really care for that. Now, there's no denying the beautiful artwork. I mean, look at that. This stuff is gorgeous. But I don't like some of the stuff they have to say. I don't like some of the people they put down in their interviews. Here's another cool page. I do like the cartooniness of this page. But yeah, I believe there's two volumes of this series. I have only the first volume, but I do highly recommend this. Just go on eBay, check out what they got. All right, now here's a heavier one. Hopefully I can hold this one up properly. Oof. Here you go. This is a collection of 100 years of King Features Syndicates material. Now, they're the guys who do the classic comic strips and some of the contemporary stuff, too. Oh, well, here we go. Here's my attempt. Hold it open. But here's a page from Crazy Cat. I hope you guys can see that. Goes through a lot of effort with the 1.5 working arms. Now let me flip towards the back here. Now here's a Cardis page actually. And Mother Goose and Grimm. Hope you guys can see that. But that's cool. I love my history, so see if you can add that to your collection. I have no idea if it's affordable. All right. Then we have Mike Mignola. This is actually a newer book in my collection. This was by IDW when they still had the cool logo. This retails for $39.99, and there's a nice little painting on the back of a skeleton. Now let's see what this entails inside. Here's the end papers. This book's a little easier for me to handle than that giant King Features book. Lots of skeletons already. Check these pages out. Man, I love the way he does colors. There's something very moody about them. Alright, here's a Cthulhu, more skeletons, and an unattached head, which is kind of up my alley if you've seen my Papa Balloon and Cactus stuff as it's evolved. I've kind of separated the jaws from the heads. It's kind of like a stylistic choice, which I'm having a lot of fun with. But I do get a lot of comments on Reddit about all the characters being being from South Park's Canada. Right, here is Hellboy and a skeleton. No skeletons on this page, so I'm gonna skip it. It's gotta have skeletons, right? Maybe not. Well, here's an Alien and Predator one. I don't remember ever seeing outside of this book. That's pretty cool. One last flip through on there. Here we go. Now these are more like standard. Well, if you can call anything by Mignola standard, but standard for him covers. They're really cool. I love the spotting blacks. They're just really appealing to me. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff in IDW. The company kind of sucked at the end. They fired some really nice people, really good people. You might be able to find that a little cheaper because of the company that it is. So give that a look. Don't be discouraged by some of the prices of these books. And now this is the last book I'm going to show you. This is actually a sketchbook again. This one is by Bill Sienkiewicz. It's a little dog ear. I think I got it that way. I didn't mistreat this book or anything. Here's the back cover. And let's see again about reading the back cover. The Bill Sienkiewicz sketchbook. The impact that Bill Sienkiewicz has had upon the industry is little short of shamanic. The location of a personal voice is, I think, the key to the artist that Bill Sienkiewicz has become. Having learned at the feet of great masters, his most important accomplishment is then to learn to listen to and amplify the voices of his own instincts. Food for thought. Remember, I still always have the quotes from the ugliest book in the world then. I'll get to those in a second. All right. Now, this is more of a traditional sketchbook. You don't really get much traditional when you get Bill Sienkiewicz. So, I appreciate the fact that these kind of look like our stuff. Oh, here we go. I see some of the art from Dune. There's the good old stinger there. And I believe that was also a cover to Stray Toasters on the other side. Okay, let's jump ahead a bit. All right, more layouts. I don't know what those balloons say. You might want to pause my screen and read what's actually written there. One last flip. Oh, this seems to be the layouts for some comic. I'll have to look into it a little later and figure out what comic that might be. All right, once again, here's the cover. This is an old Fantagraphics book. There is a more modern sketchbook by Bill Sienkiewicz. You might want to look that up. This one, I believe, might be a little pricey. So, just a heads up. Okay, and there you have it for today. I don't have any of my friends' comics handy that I probably haven't shown you before. Now, I'm going to take out Hot Tips. Once again, there's that ugly cover. And let's see. We're going to flip. Oh, let's stop right there. This is towards the back. I feel that that might be an easier way to get some material we haven't seen yet. All right, let's see what the category is. All right, this is Tricks of the Trade. This is from the legendary John Byrne. It's okay for the characters to lie, but the writer should never lie to the readers. Otherwise, they've got nothing to depend on. I always make sure that characters lie, but the writers don't. The omniscient narrator never lies. Wow, I haven't seen that quote. I haven't really read too many John Byrne interviews over the years. I do like to research my stuff, but he's definitely a blind spot. Him and George Perez. I don't really have much exposure to the things they had to say because I was born in '77. That's about the peak of their careers. You know, they were still around as I was growing up. The hot artists had taken over by then, and you know they kind of faded to the back a little bit, despite their accomplishments. And beautiful stuff. I still say Terry Austin is the best inker that John Byrne ever had, but that's just me. Hey, and also maybe Terry Austin's a liar. Oh wait, let me reread that quote. Well, we'll see you next time, guys.